So, you know, I used to tell myself that he'd never cheat on me. After everything I did for him, all I gave up for him, the life and the plans that we had had together, I just couldn't believe that he would sink that low. And for years, I didn't really have proof. I just had that gut feeling, the one where something inside of you knows that something's off, but your head keeps talking you out of it. And you tell yourself that you're overreacting, that you're paranoid, or that maybe you're just being insecure. But eventually, I couldn't unsee what was right in front of me. And several years in, he started getting sloppy. Messages, phone calls, women who knew me, who knew us. And it wasn't just one affair. It was multiple women at different times and sometimes overlapping. And then I realized for him, it wasn't about connection or even attraction. It was about conquest, about proving to himself that he could still have control, that he could still get whoever he wanted, regardless of the destruction that it left behind him. And if you've ever been there, if you've ever questioned your sanity while loving someone like that, then this video's for you. Because today we're talking about why so many narcissists cheat, how they keep multiple women on rotation like a sport. And what does that do to you, the survivor, who was loyal and invested and truly believed that you were building a future together? We're also going to talk about what it looks like to start reclaiming yourself after that kind of betrayal, because healing from a narcissist's infidelity, it hits a little bit different. So this video right here, if you haven't watched this one yet, it dives deep into the exact tactics that are used to keep you doubting yourself. And really, that's the key to understanding why they get away with cheating for so long. So let's start here, because the truth is narcissists cheat for reasons that go way beyond sex. It's about power, and it's about control, and it's about validation. See, a narcissist doesn't see people as people. They see them as like an extension of themselves. You, me, whoever they're with. We're all just sources of supply. And for them, cheating isn't necessarily about physical intimacy. It's about ego and fuel. When they get attention from someone new, it feeds the part of them that constantly needs to feel superior and wanted and desired. And they keep chasing that high because underneath that arrogance and confidence is pure emptiness. They can't figure out how to self-regulate. They can't self-soothe. So they need that external validation just to feel alive. Research kind of backs this up. See, a narcissist is more likely to cheat not because of opportunity, but because of entitlement. And they believe that the rules do not apply to them. Loyalty, honesty, empathy, those aren't values that they expect from you and not something that they live by for themselves. They cheat because they can, because they believe that you'll forgive them, because they believe that they're untouchable. And honestly, a lot of the time, they're right. Because by the time the infidelity starts happening, they've already trained you to question yourself. You've already been gaslit and manipulated and emotionally worn down. So even when your gut screams something's off, you talk yourself out of it. So now let's talk about the roster, because this is where it gets really dark. Narcissists don't just cheat, they collect. They keep multiple people in their orbit, each one serving kind of a different purpose. And there's, of course, the main source, usually the loyal, empathetic partner who, gives stability and emotional caretaking. That's you. The one who knows him best and supports him and, keeps his life running. Then there's the new supply. That's the one that he flirts with and chases and idolizes. That's where he gets excitement, the dopamine rush, the thrill of the chase. And then there's the backups, like old flings and exes and coworkers and friends he keeps on, DMs just in case he needs an ego boost or, someone to kind of triangulate you with. Each person on that roster is part of his control system. If one supply starts questioning him or setting boundaries, he can pivot to another and still feel powerful. And it's kind of like emotional insurance for him. They always keep backup supplies, so they never have to sit in their own emptiness. And that's the part that hit me hardest when I finally saw the full picture. It wasn't that he cheated once. It was that he had built an ecosystem around himself to stay constantly fed. It was strategic, it was calculated, and at the time, I still believed he just made a mistake. But no, it was deliberate. So how do they get away with it for so long, right? They gaslight and they deflect and they project. And if you bring up something that doesn't add up, suddenly you're the jealous one. You're insecure, you're controlling. And because you love them and because they've already conditioned you to doubt yourself, you start apologizing for even asking questions. They'll use half-truths to create confusion. It's not what it looks like. She's just a friend. You're crazy. I told you about her. And when that doesn't work, they'll flip it into blame. If you didn't stress me out so much, maybe I wouldn't need to talk to other people. That's classic narcissistic manipulation. And if you've watched my video, How a Narcissist Manipulates You, you know this part of their playbook. They use guilt and shame and gaslighting to keep you emotionally hooked and second guessing your reality. Okay, now this part. This is where I really want to speak to you because the fallout from this kind of betrayal runs deep. When someone cheats in a healthy relationship, it's devastating, okay? But when a narcissist cheats, it breaks something even deeper. It's not just betrayal. It becomes like psychological warfare. They've already dismantled your self-trust before the cheating even comes out. So by the time it does, you're left questioning everything. Was any of it real? Did he ever love me? How could he do this to me after everything? I remember sitting in my bed one night thinking, maybe if I had just been calmer or more affectionate, or maybe he wouldn't have done it. That's how deep the conditioning goes. You start turning the knife inward instead of placing the blame where it belongs. And that's the thing narcissists count on. They want you to internalize because as long as you're blaming yourself, you're not holding them accountable. But here's the truth. His cheating has nothing to do with your worth, with your effort, or even your love. It has everything to do with his need to control. Not only control, but conquer and feel superior, even if it destroyed the one person who genuinely cared about him. The hardest part after discovering all of this is rebuilding your sense of self. Because when you've been cheated on by a narcissist, it's not just your heart that's broken, it's your identity. You start to question why you are, what's real, and whether you can even trust again. But this is where the healing begins. Piece by piece, you begin to rebuild your trust, not in other people yet, but in yourself. You can start recognizing that intuition that tried to warn you the first time. You start honoring the parts of you that knew but were silenced by either fear or manipulation. And this is where I want to kind of plug another video, how to reconnect with yourself, because that's exactly what I walk you through there. Step by step, how to come home to your own power again. And inside my group coaching community, the Breakthrough Collective, this is one of the biggest themes that we work on together is rebuilding trust within yourself, regulating your nervous system, and learning what self-love actually feels like. You don't have to do this alone. There are women who get it, who've been where you are, and who are walking the same road back to themselves. And here's the truth that no one likes to say. Most narcissists will cheat. If not physically, then absolutely emotionally, because loyalty requires empathy and they don't operate from that place. Their version of love is transactional. Their version of commitment lasts only as long as you keep feeding their ego. And once you stop, and once you start asking questions or expecting reciprocity, they'll start sourcing validation elsewhere. But here's what I want you to remember. Their behavior is a reflection of them, not a measurement of you. You are not enough. You were too much for someone who thrives on scarcity. You were too real for someone who thrives on illusion. And when you finally stop trying to understand why they cheated and start understanding who you are, that's when you begin to win. Because they can replace you with 100 women, but they will never find another you. So if you're watching this and you're in that in-between space, the knowing, the doubting, the trying to accept it phase, I want you to know that you're not crazy, you're not dramatic, you're not unlovable. You were betrayed by someone who is incapable of the loyalty that you were offering. And now it's your turn. It's your turn to rebuild, to rise, and to reconnect with yourself again. If this resonates with you, please subscribe and share with someone who needs it. And you can join us inside the Breakthrough Collective, where we talk about this live and we heal together. Don't forget to check out how to reconnect with yourself and how a narcissist manipulates you for a deeper dive into everything that we talked about here today. And remember, I'm rooting for you.